no shade. So letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight, winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fly. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are a little live today. We are a little live here on the UB2B page. Is that what it is? It used to be Facey Bookie. We're trying to get the center here nice and straight and nice. Let's just jump right into it. You know, there's a lot of situations that were talked about yesterday on the show, and I thought I was respectful. I thought that I was nice. I thought that I was cordial. I thought that I provided what I thought, which is the goal. I believe people tune in to see what I think. But some people don't believe that to be the case. A lot of backlash, a lot of negative responses from yesterday's show. But I thought there was some great material in the situation at hand. My diagnosis of Tanner Holmes wasn't necessarily against Tanner Holmes. It was a opinion of my opinion that I originally gave, and I feel like it was right of me to give some of the Tanner Holmes doubters to the hype that I was projecting. That's why it said in the video, the plan versus the projection, as they may have been right, and my projection, my hype around Tanner Holmes was wrong. And that's what I believe. Now, there is going to be some talk about this today in the show, and not just for me. People, it's not just me that has this feeling. In fact, I've been combating those who feel like Tanner Holmes didn't deserve the shot. Other guys had that were performing on a much higher scale should have been granted such an opportunity. Back to the merit of the sport. And some people are just ridiculous in their responses and disagreement with those stances, to the point it is pretty much a full-blown attack onto anyone who is not 100% on the Tanner Holmes bandwagon of greatest of all time, or just saying anything but he's the best, or he's anything but a pat on the back. You know, literally had a guy say you shit on Tanner in this video, the video from yesterday, which I don't feel like I did that at all. Obviously tonight it is Bridgeport High Limit, and from my understanding, this High Limit All-Star deal is happening. I mean, everybody out, there's nothing official, letters sent out, blah, 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 blah. From my understanding, it's happening. That's what, from my understanding, it is done. Now, I'm not going to talk like, is High Limit going to merge with the All-Stars? Because in my opinion, in my ability to think, it's already happening. I know how business moves are made, okay? And I know how this game is played. I know how this media game is played. All I got to do is look at IndyCar and Formula One and NASCAR in the 90s, and I know exactly what's happening right now. The threat is being taken out. Sprint car racing, the threat is being taken out. Now, it's a very 12D chess situation, or as you may want to say it, 12-dimensional type of situation. But some of y'all don't even know about the 13. Do you know what I'm saying? No, you don't. So that's why I'm gonna just take this. Y'all are in the 4th dimension right now with your regular lives. I'm gonna take you to the 8th. Because I already know what y'all are thinking. I already know what's coming around the corner. Now, here's the problem with what's coming around the corner. So, in the mindset that this is a done deal, next year's happening, the show is on. What is going to be the show? Who is going to come out to high limit races versus an outlaw race? Now, the World of Outlaws have a brand that does still carry weight. Now, it is with the gray hairs of the society. And you could definitely say that Larson and some of these people are bringing in the youngins a little bit easier because they have experience doing it in many different ways that I don't even want to go into. But there is a brand with the World of Outlaws when they show up, it's a set of names. And this high limit deal seems to be banking on one name with the assistance of Rico Abreu. I believe that it seems like they are banking on Kyle Larson being at these shows. Now, Kyle Larson in an all-star high limit merger scenario is not going to be able to be at every show. So then you have to ask yourself, are people going to start coming out versus an outlaw race or a typical all-star race of this year? Is all of a sudden a typical all-star race from this year going to be any more desirable to watch or attend because it says high limit sprint car series instead of all-star circuit of champions? Which I think that was sort of a bad move. You could have really marketed on the original sprint car series of the country. I don't know. I hope that there's some that's still up into the discussion. As far as the merger, I don't think that's a question, but as far as how they're going to do it, what they're going to roll out with, the branding, the material, the marketing, there is an angle that you could bring this all-star thing in and kind of use that brand to trump the World of Outlaws since it was their first. It was their first all-star circuit of champions. But I just think that it's going to be a difficult sell for track promoters because now, there's obviously going to be some style of sanctioning fee. Maybe they're going to do something with the Flow Racing brand to kind of ease that pain on the tracks, but then we're back to streaming, and track promoters and people in today's society seem to blame streaming for all of their problems, everything that's wrong. 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was so many things to do. Now it's streaming, then it's the weather, it's everything but you as to why you're not successful. Everything but you. Once again, I think, and that's not just track promoters. I mean, everybody out there. It's the chassis, it's the motor, it's the shocks, it's the berm, it's the cushion, it's the bottom, it's the color green, it's peanuts, it's chicken, it's everybody but me in the damn mirror. And that's pretty damn sad. But in a world of nepotism monarchy, there ain't much merit involved. So how can you blame yourself when you're living in such a cesspool? At least when it comes to reflection and responsibility. It's hard for people to say that they made the mistake. And I do that all the time. I try to, and that's what I was trying to do in the Tanner Holmes video. But what I mean by this is, where is it going to go? Who is going to book a high limit race instead of a World of Outlaw race? And then if you are going to make that decision, why are you going to? I mean, we can't ignore 34 Raceway this year, can we? That had Kyle. We can't ignore Tri-City, can we? Not just the horrible officiating nepotism monarchy-based calls that were made that deter race teams from attending, but also the crowd that was on hand. Are we going to be able to ignore these things? And see, that's going to be the interesting thing to me to watch tonight, and maybe some of you out there could watch tonight, is let's see what this grandstand of Bridgeport actually is. It's sometimes hard to bring a crowd on the backside of some big events. And we did just obviously have the $70,000 to win Williams Grove National Open. I was so surprised by how good Darren Pittman did. What a great example to how skill in racing never dies. This whole, you get older and retire, that NASCAR created is only there so that they can open up new rides and take new money from new young rich kids. It's not because the drivers aren't capable of winning. It's because there's more money in renting and selling the rides than there is in winning races and competing. And that's an issue that is slowly bleeding into this sport. But it's hard to draw a crowd on the backside of big events. And not to mention that, but you also have a big event leading up with the Tuscarora 50 being rescheduled for Thursday, I do believe. And then the 2-day show at Port Royal in the same weekend is coming up. So we saw that a little bit. The crowd wasn't super great the week after Knoxville Nationals at Huset's and Jackson. And some people think that, well, a lot of people spent their money to do the Knoxville Nationals weekend, and they don't really have a lot of money left over to go to another weekend. Now, obviously, once again, they're selling this thing on a name, not the names. And the A name that they're trying to sell is Kyle Larson. So, the people who go to Bridgeport tonight, in my opinion, are more so paying, and I've been saying this a couple times this year, they're paying $40, $45, I don't know what the price is, $35 maybe if they're lucky, but they're paying this amount of money to meet and greet Kyle Larson, or to at least witness him drive. And maybe a picture and an autograph. That's what they're paying for. Now, obviously, I would argue, my inner fan of the sport would argue and say, well, Bridgeport is a different style of track than the big tracks of Williams Grove and the big tracks of Port Royal. It's more like Lawrenceburg. It's high banked. It's fast. It's quick. It's going to be good action. You know, that could be a determining factor as to why somebody would go to Bridgeport on the heels of a 70K Williams Grove weekend and on, you know, the footsteps of the Tuscarora and the Outlaw weekend at Port Royal. I could make that argument that you're going to see some racing at Bridgeport that you can't see on those bigger half-mile tracks. Although Port Royal, once again, this is a half-mile that races like a quarter. It's one of the most best action-packed race tracks that there is. So the grandstands is what I'm going to be paying attention to tonight at Bridgeport. Can they draw a crowd with all the competition around them? How much pull does Kyle Larson actually have in this PA region? Now, obviously, there's a bunch of fans in the PA region. There's a bunch of fans in the New York area right there. And in that, more so eastern side of PA, northeastern side of PA, and they're not necessarily big PA sprint car fans. They're not weekly guys to Williams Grove and weekly guys to Port Royal. But they do like racing, and they're big block fans, and they're New Yorkers, so they love idolization, so they want to go see Kyle race. Let's go do it. Once again, another $40 to $45 just to meet and greet and see Kyle Larson race. So that is a big card that High Limit plays. But when you go into the more fuller schedule, is this going to be a situation where, obviously, I don't think, at least, that Kyle could race 55 races in a High Limit All-Star Merger year. But is he going to start selling himself to another degree? Whereas track promoters say, yeah, we want a High Limit All-Star race this year on Friday night, blah, 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 blah date. And the response is, okay, well, here's the sanctioning fee. Here's how much this costs. Here's how much that cost. And then the promoter's like, well, what's it cost to get Kyle? And and what I mean by this is, instead of that question even coming when the fees are being listed out as how much it costs to run, sanctioning fee, and then is there going to be another line item that says, do you want Kyle Larson? ? Yes, 20 grand, no, 20 grand less. It's going to cost you that amount of money to have Kyle Larson at this event. And if you say yes, it's now a contractual obligation for Kyle to be there, and that will potentially sell you that much money back, or whatever amount it is. And this stuff started in back in the day. Let's not fool ourselves. There's so many stories of Billy Moyer, Scott Bloomquist, Kinzer, Swindell getting promotional money to show up and race at events to bring fans in. So this isn't like some new thing that they're scheming on the world. This happens a lot, and has always happened. But the bigger, more so question is that going to be an option when signing one of these races? Because I think if you remove Kyle out of tonight's race at Bridgeport, who is going to draw you the fans that could combat a Tuscarora 50 and a Williams Grove, the hills and the four steps of these two events, and you're trying to draw people to drive from Central PA over there. I think Kyle is that wild card that does have the opportunity to potentially fill those stands, but in a full season scaled situation, what are you going to do? But once again, maybe there'll be that option. And I don't know. That's just, once again, none of this is fact. This is all speculation, but the facts are boring and speculation is fun. Both are technically legal. But anyways, that's what I'm going to be paying attention tonight is the Bridgeport grandstand situation. We had a caller. We were trying to get him on the line. He wanted to talk about some things. We'll see if we can get him back on there. I could go ahead and check the chat real quick. I'm sure that there's people in there. Let's see here. Oh, we got our caller. Hold on. Caller is on the line. And sorry, I know we're bringing, this is Jovan Schriltz has called in. And we're just on, I opened up with the Tanner Holmes situation. I just kind of explained or talked about Bridgeport tonight. Who's going to show? Because obviously on the hills of Williams Grove, on the steps of Tuscarora and Port Royal, who's actually going to show up and attend this race? I'm thinking there's enough people who want to meet and greet Kyle Larson. They'll pay $45 to do it. But in the future, what's going to happen? You know, is there going to be an option in the promoter like submission? Here's how much the purse is. Here's the sanctioning fee. And do you want Kyle? ? Yes, $20K. No, Kyle. $20K less. But anyways, I know that I don't know if you have any opinions on that. Do you?
I didn't know you were going to call me this early.
Well, I told you 12 my time, 2 yours. Isn't it 2:00 over there on the West Coast, or did you move again?
No, you're going the wrong way. It's 10:30 here.
Oh, that's right. I'm my bad. My bad. Hey, I'm all over. But anyways,
I just went on here. We got 83 people. You've been on for 17 minutes, and you're dragging me into this. What do you want to talk about today? What are we talking about?
Well, I just kind of led you into what I just got through painting the picture of. I'm just not stupid. So I see the high limit. Obviously, high limits tonight at Bridgeport.
Yeah.
And then, through some of my discussions with people, there's a lot of doubt on if they're going to get a crowd tonight. And that led me to think about next year. I said, I'm not in the 4th dimension. I'm in the 8th. I'm going to talk about next year like it's happening. How is this high limit all-star deal going to get a crowd? Because I think the only way they're getting a crowd at Bridgeport tonight is because of Kyle. What about next year when Kyle's not allowed? And is there going to be something in the contracts where if you want Kyle, you just pay an extra 10 or 20 grand to get him?
Well, first off, we've done shows, and I've heard your opinions on what you think's going to happen next year with the high limit.
Right.
But since you've left, I miss you, Chaz. I haven't seen you in a week. Where'd you go? But I think this thing is losing momentum. What I'm hearing.
I don't know how that is on the hills of Dell Jr. just doing a presser for a week and a half. I don't understand how that's losing momentum.
What does Dale Jr. showing up at a race have to do with outlaw teams jumping ship?
Well, okay. In that aspect, yes. That's
why. What are you talking about? Promotion?
Well,
okay. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was at the race. So what? Is he going to add to the point fund? Is he guaranteeing money? What's he doing?
Well, that's the question. I mean, how much? I honestly think that Brad Sweet got in the promoter game here and made a bunch of money, a little bit of a bunch of money at least, and found it way easier or less stressful than the performance pressure. I mean, I know he can perform, but I do think that being in that promoter role is a little bit laxier of a situation. I'm not trying to deflect from what you're saying. I'm just thinking that in his mind, let's go for it. Let's figure it out. Let's just make something happen. And then whatever happens, whatever we got to figure out, I'll just figure it out.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're talking. Are you talking about next year with the high limit?
Yeah, I was talking about next year. I mean, but I was relating to drawing crowds.
Okay, are you talking about who's going to join it? Are you talking about who's joining it next year?
No, I was talking about how they're going to get crowds. What roster are they putting out there that's going to draw crowds, because I think Kyle and maybe a little bit of Rico is their main crowd drawer right now.
Well, yeah, but there's only 2 more races this year. I'm already looking at next year. Whatever shows up tonight shows up tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's what I keep trying to get to. What do you think outlaw teams are going to jump to the high limit? What do you?
I don't think you're going to get an amazing amount to jump ship. No, I don't think, but we don't know.
How about none? How about 1?
I think 1 may be the case.
Okay,
but you're losing
you
1 as well.
You could have the same roster. You're losing Kofoid. He's going to go outlaws. He was a high limit driver, so you're losing a guy.
Are you confirmed on that?
It's what I'm hearing. Well, I'm not confirmed. I can't confirm.
We are losing Brad Sweet.
What I'm hearing. Okay, so Brad Sweet joins the high limit and Buddy joins the outlaws. Okay, so how many races is high limit going to run next year? What are we committing to?
Well, everybody's heard this weird 55 number. So, I mean.
Okay. Oh.
I don't think that it'll be. I don't think that it would be technically. And I had this discussion the other day, and the Outlaws are kind of bad on this, but they're bad on this because of what's happening right now. Is the Outlaws don't build stars; they build their brand. That's what they're concerned about. They do provide a platform for you to build your stardom. But if you're any type of smart marketing team, you could take average drivers and project them as they're better than everyone else. Look at what NASCAR does that to the best of its ability. I mean, everyone in racing knows that there's drivers up there that ain't really that great, but the world believes that they are the NFL level of the racing world. So you could take an average roster in the racing world that we live in, and you can manipulate that to the public as these are stars. You can make a Zeb Wise to the public look like a David Gravel. You just can if you do it right.
Well, you're saying so you could just have a smoke and mirror series and you can fool everybody. That's what
Is it not already halfway that? I mean, did we not see Tri-City? I mean, come on.
So that's what we're trying to do now. We're just trying to manipulate the public into believing things that aren't true to promote our sport.
But that's what happens.
Okay, well, if they can do it, more power to them.
Isn't that a page out of the NASCAR book?
I never watched NASCAR, so I don't even know really anything about it. I don't know what it is.
Okay, but you do watch sprint car racing, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we're getting you into like in Ricky Thornton Jr. We're going to have him in the 121 next year. But no, obviously I had some comments on the Tanner Holmes situation yesterday.
Well, ask me some questions here. Don't go rambling on about.
People were very upset, calling me a hater, said I shit on them. I mentioned you by name, saying that I thought I owed you an apology because I hyped Tanner up and you told me to hype it down, and I didn't, and I kept stirring. And the projection didn't add. It wasn't Tanner Mahomes. He didn't just come in and light it up for the Super Bowl. I did give credit. Maybe this was the plan. But it seems like the people are just next level on their reactions.
Well, that's how America is now. I mean, who is Tanner Holmes? He's a rich kid whose family has spent millions, and he plays around with YouTube because he has nothing else to do, and people follow him, and he's likable. He got in a car he didn't deserve from any on-track performance, but I think he's done better than I would have thought he's done. He's actually done pretty well. He's matured, and he handles the car pretty well, but other than that, I mean, he's struggling now. He's going to struggle. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what people are mad about. What are people exactly mad about?
It just seems like if you do not just by me saying I thought I had it wrong and the hype was not where I had it, I'm shitting on the guy.
Well, I don't know what there was hype. I'm not sure what you mean by hype. Did people think he was going to win? What did they think? Well, I don't know what was the hype thinking?
It seems like it was I mean, obviously, like I said, it wasn't really, in general, it was just what I had said. And that's all I was talking about.
Well, Well, I don't concern myself with other people. I mean, he's done okay. I like people are complimenting him for not crashing. That's now, you get congratulations for not crashing. That's what we're down to with him. But I think he's done okay for his experience, for his lack of experience. I think he's done okay. But if you get back to does he deserve it? I mean, this is 2023. This is a rich man's sport now. This is all a bunch of rich kids, and people say they earned it. I don't know. He earned what? He barely won a couple 360 races. He never won a 410 race. He's in a top outlaw car. So I don't know how he actually earned it because he made a few videos.
If I remember our discussion properly, that's where you had the problem. Was you come from you went to San Jose State. You're from real sports. You're from real interactions where you earn the best players advance, and that's kind of been my issue with racing. Is that's not the case. You know, even on the local go-kart level, the father-son team who's kicking ass every week, who's there in a damn, bringing the go-kart in on the back of the truck. If there's another kid there, a Braxton Bush or something, and they run fourth in a stacker hauler, they're the ones that get the promotion to the Legends cars, not the little poor kid who's kicking everyone's ass. So I think that's what you're more so upset had an issue, well, not upset, had an issue with Tanner Holmes getting promoted. That's how the world is.
I'm just pointing out how the world is. I don't have an issue. I don't really care. This is how it is. And, it's like...
well, that's what I'm just saying. You said earned it. You said earned it. So
well, he didn't earn anything. It was all given to him. His dad gave him equipment. He ran around the track, and it was given. He didn't earn anything. These people are given these positions. Well, look at what happened at Hanford this week with Peter Murphy trying to pretend he can run a track. Now, in the real world, you go and get educated.
Right, Joe.
You have
That's
a
not right, Joe. Well, it was a really bad example, though. That was horrible. It was horrible.
No. I'm just saying, in the real world, I'm in the real business world. When people get jobs, they apply for jobs, they hand in their resumes, and they're up against other people's resumes, and the person making the decision on who gets the job hires the best qualified person. This racing now is... Peter Murphy is running Hanford because he's friends. People gave him the job because he's friends. Kobe Copeland's running Chico because his friends bought the track. They're not qualified. They're not the most qualified person, so things are going to go haywire. And these drivers now, you talked about it yesterday. This isn't sports. We're not trying out. We're not lining up pitchers and see who's the best pitcher to pitch for our team. We're not taking batting practice, or we're not shooting baskets, and the guy who hits the most baskets makes the team. These are people in the sport because their dad bought them a car. This is your dad bought you a car. Have Dominic Scelzi come on and tell you how much money the Scelzi family has spent for him to race. They won't do it. They won't give you the number. Have Tanner Holmes come on the show and say, my dad spent this much money for me to race. They won't tell you. It's a secret. They're all hiding something.
Wow,
they're hiding.
What is there to hide?
What?
Is it back?
They're hiding behind the money.
Kind of how I explained the NASCAR manufacturing stardom. You're basically saying that, at least how I'm interpreting it, is that that's what's happening across the board. They're manufacturing professional race car status.
No, mommy and daddy are spending millions now for their little son and daughter to be a racer. And these little babies who never left the nest, some of them in their 30s, are walking around saying they're professional race car drivers when they won't tell you the numbers. If your family spends $500,000 to $1 million a year so you can go out and win $80,000, what is that?
That's not a successful business model. And there's nothing professional about that. That is why that would be classified as a hobby.
But they're not saying that. That's what the sport is. And Tanner Holmes is just a product. He's just another one in the line. He's never held a job of any kind. What has he done? Did he graduate high school? Did he go out and get a job?
Well, he did do it differently. He did
what differently?
He acquired a opportunity or a ride in a different route. There's no doubt about it that the YouTube aspect is what played a significant factor in him getting that job. So no, he didn't.
So that's what we have.
I'm saying we're used to the people just buying or the friend system in a way, or the mommy and daddy system.
But his dad bought the racing equipment that allowed him to tape it on YouTube. I don't understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that you have that example with all these other people. I mean, the salesy, all these people with the daddy's money. There's a bunch of people out there racing outside of Tanner Holmes that their mommy and daddy just bought it all, and they're playing professional race car driver for most of their lives. What I'm saying is that at least Tanner Holmes went and made an opportunity through YouTube. That's the only. He didn't get no opportunities because his daddy knew somebody at Shark Racing. He got that opportunity because of an alternate.
If his dad didn't buy the $1 million, if his dad didn't buy the $1 million, he wouldn't be filming anything.
I understand that situation.
So it's all about YouTube now. Everyone should be on YouTube and get followers.
I mean, that is good. That is going to be the influence of the situation, I believe. But at the same time, it did technically work for him. He did get some kind of, interview or opportunity because of that work outside of everything being provided.
We don't know if money changed hands. We don't know if they paid Bobby Allen. We don't know anything. It's all a secret.
Why is it a secret?
Because they're all hiding the money. Nobody's gonna come out and tell you how much they spent. You think DJ Neto's dad's gonna come out and say how much money they spent on racing? You think Matt Wood's gonna tell you how much money he spent on Shane Golobic in the last 5 years? The numbers would be frightening.
Well, isn't that going to be frightening for any team out there? I mean, that's not performing well, or just anybody out there outside of an outlaw top 5. Ain't all of them losing money at that same amount of rate?
Well, I don't know what they're losing.
Who else is racing for what 410? What 410 racing operation is actually doing something outside of maybe the top 5 of the outlaws, maybe, and Rico and Kyle? Who else?
Well, how much money did Rico's dad spend?
Oh, that's my point.
How many tens of millions was spent on Rico?
But what I'm saying is, you're making a point with Tanner Holmes that point applies to pretty much everybody, or Selzy, or Neto, or Golobic, or all of them. That's not just those guys. That's the entire sport.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking sprint car racing. That's what the sport now is. This is what it evolved. It's evolved into in the last 40 years. It's how much money do you have? And, I don't know if you're saying Tanner did something different to get these rides. Apparently
in a way,
not performing on the...
In a way, that's what I'm saying, because what you just listed off with the daddy's money and the Selzy and the Neto, that example is across the board. So I almost feel like all these people are just ignoring what we're talking about, even though it's factual, because that's just the situation. And I guess in judging that situation that just is, Tanner Holmes did do something different to get opportunities that a guy who didn't do the YouTube and had the same things. How many other drivers out there are just won a few 360 races, never won a 410, has the money, has the equipment? How many of those guys are going to get shots in an outlaw ride? They're not going to.
But we don't know if he was hired because of his YouTube. How do you know that?
Well, it seems like he was decently popular because of the YouTube. That seems to be why he was.
But what does that have to do with Bobby Allen? Maybe Bobby Allen went over and said, to his dad, "Hey, give me $3 or $4 grand a race, and I'll run your kid." Maybe it was a business decision. How do you?
We don't know. Well, once again, to the hiding, like you said, it's real.
We're gonna hide. Everyone's hiding behind money. These guys out in California, they buy $60,000 360 engines to race for $1,500 to win. That's what they're doing.
Well, and I do think something that spurs from this mass effect, and once again, I think that what we're talking about with Holmes and Neto and Selzy and everyone but maybe the top 5 in the Outlaws, and I'm assuming most of those top 5 in the Outlaws came from a similar situation where they came from
how much money
given to
them. How much money did Donnie Shots spend? How much money did Danny Shots spend on Donnie?
I would say a pretty penny.
But they won't tell you. They'll say, well, it's none of your business. They won't tell you.
So it's all manufactured stardom.
You know,
it's all manufactured stardom. All of it.
That's right. That's what the sport is. It's all manufactured. And maybe Tanner came up with a different way to manufacture it.
Right. So he's an engineer. He's a career
somebody
engineer.
Just said on your I'm looking at people. Someone said, why does it matter how much they spend?
Look at him. He's
because
got his
they're
defenders.
tilting because this is why it matters. Because they're tilting the play field, and it's not a fair, even play field like football, baseball, and basketball are. That's why it's not really a sport. That's why the money matters. Because what about Buddy Kofoid? I thought Toyota was going to get him to NASCAR. What happened there? What was the roadblock here?
Money.
Why is Kofoid not running a truck? Why is Haley Deegan out running a truck and Kofoid isn't? She's more talented? She has more viewers? What is this?
That's a fair point.
What kind of sham is the sport?
It's sad,
the whole
ain't it?
sport's a sham. What?
It's the whole sport's a Taylor Swift song. It's sad.
I don't know Taylor Swift songs. I don't know what that is. But the whole thing's a sham from top to bottom. You got criminals, you got money launderers, you got drug dealers. Out here in California, you got car owners who beat their wives. You got drivers who cheat on their wives. That's who's in victory lane. There's no morals. There's no scruples. It's what can we get out of you?
So back to
look at Gene Haas. What Gene Haas? Look at his criminal dealings. Look at Rick Hendrick's criminal dealings. Look at.
Well, hold on. You can't just say that and not elaborate. What do you mean?
Well, people can look it up on Wikipedia. I'm not going to educate everybody on everything.
Can you summarize very quickly?
Which problem we talking about?
Okay, Gene Haas first.
Well, I'm going to go back into the details of his. You want me to look it up and start reading?
Well, just you could say what the charge was or whatever it is, and people can go at least find, type in Gene Haas, blah, 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 and then they can, what is the blah, blah, blah? That's what I'm asking.
Gene Haas. Okay. On June 19, 2006, he was arrested by the IRS agents for investigation filing false tax returns, witness intimidation, and conspiracy.
Sounds like
4 others were indicted with Haas, all pleaded guilty.
Wow.
He was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and he paid $75 million in resolution. I mean, this stuff's all on the internet.
So basically, if he didn't have a bunch of money, he would be in prison.
Well, he did criminal acts, and he bought his way out. He's in racing. He owns an F1 team. That's the highest level. Doesn't matter he's a criminal.
And then
doesn't matter to people.
And you drop the big bomb, Larson's boss, Hendrick. What do people need to look up to learn more about that?
Well, they don't want to learn it because they put Kyle in the car. Well,
yeah. Well, what let people have an
legal
opportunity.
Issues. He pleaded guilty to mail fraud. It's right here. You know, he allegedly solicited bribes from dealers for large product disbursements. He admitted to giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to BMW dealers and houses to American motor executives. It's all criminal activity.
So he was buying people off for business opportunities, which is technically.
Well, he was strong-arming dealerships. He was using his power to manipulate the system. This is what America is. These are the people in racing.
It sounds like the highest politics. This is the politics.
These are NASCAR-owning champions. These are F1 car owners, and that's the top. It goes all the way through the sport. That's what this sport is. It's an ego-driven sport, and people with money get involved, and then they want to manipulate the whole system, and they want their little boys and girls to be somebody because they couldn't make it on the football team.
Right.
They couldn't make it on the basketball team.
I made that point yesterday.
They were the ones. They were stuffed in lockers, but they can make their son or daughter look successful in something they can buy their way in and tilt the playfield. That's why the money matters, because they're tilting the playfield, and it's unfair to hardworking people who have to see the NFL. You can just go out there and try out.
Yeah, but if you ain't good enough, you don't make the team. They're buying their way onto the team.
This is what America is. This is what people want. This is what they cheer on.
I guess Rick Hendrick was on Trump's pardon list. That's what somebody's saying.
Yeah, because the rich are all buddies. The rich help the rich. Tanner Holmes' family's rich. He gets helped. They're not going to put a poor guy in Bobby Allen's car. It's not about his YouTube views. You think they're going to get some poor kid who's out trying to race? No, the rich help the rich. You scratch my back, I scratch my back. Come on.
Wow. People are asking, when did Jacob become rich?
Jacob who?
I don't know. They're making no sense. Okay,
I didn't say Jacob Allen was rich.
Hendrick and all this situation, all these people, you're saying that this is just status quo, and if you like dirt racing, that's what, or if you just like racing, this is what it is.
Any kind of racing. Yeah, because money dictates who gets in the rides.
Right.
Money dictates who gets in the ride. So it's always going to be, as long as that's the case.
Somebody said, so we're saying we need background checks and spending caps. Do we need cap limits?
No, we don't need anything. It's never going to be fair. It's never going to be. I don't live in a fantasy where this is ever going to be. This is what it is. This is how it'll always be, and more power to them. Good luck. Gas it up.
Now, you did send me a text about our conversation that we had yesterday, that this isn't necessarily good for the people involved. Like, some people like to be jealous of these people with high monetary privilege, and I've got to see it, and it is real, where there are, I believe, severe psychological issues with people who are raised with too much pillow, and they don't ever go to school, and they don't ever have to face real scrutiny. If anything's ever wrong, here's a toy. This will make you happier. The caller yesterday, Spike, I believe, said that even Danica Patrick, he had a Danica Patrick story about the psychological effects that she has in her late life, that she cannot even interact normally with people and doesn't really have a family or friend base. All of her friends and all the people she knows are at racetracks, and that's it.
Well, I sent you, and I can read this. A friend of mine sent me an email. His father used to race at San Jose, and he sent me an email. And I can read what he said here. One of the paragraphs, he said, "I can only imagine what racing is like now. I went to a couple of NARC races last year, and the drivers don't even know how to talk to anyone. It made me laugh. I remember when the best time was after the race, watching the drivers interact with the fans." So fans are noticing this.
Wow.
These people, most of these rich kids in racing have no friends. They're friends with each other. They don't go to school. They do homeschooling, and half of them cheat their way through. They don't have any friends. They can't even talk. You ever hear that these people talk?
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, it's embarrassing. It's like they have a gun to their head. Do I need to hear another Keith Coons? I'd like to thank Keith Coons and Pete Willoughby and Mobile One Toyota, and thank you for it. It sounds like a robot. It sounds like an AI robot.
No, it doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like a pledge. It sounds like a pledge. Yeah, people are owned.
Yeah, it's a cult. It's a cult, and you can't say anything, or you're not in the cult.
Right.
They're all going to be somebody. Where are they going to be? Do a follow-up on where all these Keith Coons drivers are going. 5 years. Where were the Keith Coons drivers from 5 years ago? Or 10 years ago? Where are they now?
Spencer Basin and Bell and Larson's about the only ones we hear about. I guess you could throw Rico in there, but Tanner Thorson.
Well, you have for the scam and the lottery to work, you have to have a couple guys get through.
Yes, that's
if
what I
the
said.
Lottery,
Yep.
If the California lottery had no winners in the last 10 years, nobody would play. But you got to sprinkle in a few winners so the masses will keep the dream alive.
Well,
it's part of the scam.
Well, I think that even Larson and Bell is a part of that scam because people were renting those rides out thinking that if they do the same damn things as those guys, that they'll get the same opportunities that those guys got, and it sold those rides hand over fist. No matter Tanner Thorson and Spencer Baston doing the exact same damn thing. They sold how many? I'm just saying, how many 300,000 to rent a year renter rides have been sold just on the two lottery winners known as Bell and Larson?
What we ought to do is set up a phony family and with their son and send them into Keith Kuhn's office and tape record what's actually said and what they're promised and what's delivered.
I believe that's illegal, but back to Hendrick.
But it'd be a good show.
I think it's illegal.
But it's not. But it's not illegal to promise things and they don't happen. That's okay.
In the business
Promise
world,
the sky and it doesn't happen.
There's a lot of stuff happening behind closed doors, Joe. A lot. There's a
That's
lot of
happening.
dark corners in this racing world. A lot of dark corners.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring up.
Well,
that's what we're talking about.
I understand that's what you're talking about, Joe, but it's scary in those dark corners. That's where people go away and don't come back.
Well, you're saying there's murder involved? Is that who's scared of what?
I don't know if it's murder. Technically, I did not say that. But I learned a long time ago if you own a racetrack and you got a tractor, no body, no case is real, Joe. So if you could dig a 30-foot hole with the heavy equipment machinery and put a person down there and there's no body, there's no case.
Oh, okay. Well,
and these people with this monetary privilege, they got that ability. I still have sympathy for Jeremy Mayfield. I think what he said really kind of actually happened. Because he's talking about this mob, behind-the-scenes mob that came after him after he pointed some things out vocally.
Well, sure. Sure, these people commit federal crimes. They ain't concerned about committing another one.
Right. This is true. I
mean, you think they're worried about selling you a piece of equipment that isn't what they said it was? You think you're going to go buy a used engine from somebody and they're going to tell the truth? Why would they? What are they? They don't care. It's the Wild West.
What do we do, Joe?
You can do what you want.
Do we just do what do I do, Joe? Do I just change my channel into opening football cards? I got lucky. I bought one of those little championship tins, and I pulled that freaking Brock Purdy, red, white, and blue, man. $100, $100 pull.
Let's get back to your question. What do you ask? What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do? Do we talk about it, or do we just shut up and let them have it their way?
Well, you're actually in this. This is kind of your life. This is kind of what you've dedicated your time to.
Oh God, don't. So that
sounds
like a prison sentence.
You're out there on the firing lines. See, I can just sit here and say what I want because I just hide.
You're in the command center, yeah. You're back there in the bunker.
But the racing scene, your fellow yesterday said sprint car racing is going to die, and I think it's going to die in California in the next 10 years. I don't think it'll even be out here. There's no reason for it. The cost of the motors, the lack of fans, the people running the tracks, the whole thing's just, they'll have special events. Like they'll have the Fall Nationals this week at Chico, and they'll probably get a good car count. They might get 50 cars, and it looks like a good thing. But I don't know. It doesn't seem healthy to me. When you look at the car counts throughout the year at Marysville and Placerville and Watsonville and some of the King of the West shows, under 20 cars is now standard.
Right. What do you think about the car count situation outside of California? I mean, tonight it looks like they're only having 30 cars at Bridgeport. It's supposed to be, right outside of PA. They only got 30 announcing.
Yeah, but 30 is enough to keep it going.
But once again, projecting.
It seems like a lot of these. Well, it's like when they started the SCCT series out here. This was the newfangled 360 that's going to replace the Civil War, and there was a big buzz about it. And Kyle was helping, and there's all this extra money. And the first races had well over 50, some 60 cars, and then 3-4 years later, it's down to half of that. And it seems like the high limit is going the same way. The hype of it. And how many guys? Remember, they had a list of like 25 guys who were going to run the whole thing, and it was all hyped up. And then as time moves on, and the purse is really, really top heavy at these races. I mean, it goes like 23 grand, 10 grand, it goes down to $4 or $5 grand real fast. And if Kyle and Rico are going to win them all, people are going to go, well. And then the $50,000 races, the outlaw teams are going to swoop in and take them.
And they have,
and
every one of them.
And you're traveling all over the United States. It doesn't look to me like something that's, it doesn't look like it's going to survive to me. I'm not sure, if they're going to merge with the All-Stars or they have these big plans, but the Outlaws, USA went up against them in '89. That didn't work, and they had the big names. And then the NST went up against them in, I think, 2006, was it? That didn't work. This outlaw organization and the fan recognition of these guys, it is, and look at the money they're paying out. I mean, look at the money that the outlaw teams have made this year. I mean, who's going to walk away from that for uncertainty?
Yeah, they're going to have to provide some form of certainty. What that is, I don't know. Do you think they would just slot in as the All-Star deal, and it'll just be obviously there'll be the hype that we're going to be this big badass thing, but do you think that it's something that will come, and with that All-Star Alliance, it'll basically in 4 or 3 or some odd years, even though the hype will look like an outlaw challenging style series, that it'll end up just falling right back into the All-Star Circuit of Champions kind of Ohio style races, and then they'll have 1 or 2. Like, I still think what's going to end up happening is if they rebrand the whole thing High Limit, I think it would still just be the All-Star schedule, and then instead of having 12 High Limit races, that'll be a part of the schedule. I think they should have kept All-Stars and then had a High Limit midweek deal that all the Larson races he can attend. Then you have like a mini High Limit, like TV Series Championship, and then an overall All-Star Championship, and then a combined championship. That would be cool. But do you think that no matter what happens, it would just fall right back into just being All-Stars of this year?
I don't know enough about the business model of it all, because you've got the tracks involved. If the Outlaws already have contracts with the biggest tracks,
well, but there is some criticism that the Outlaws just keep going in the same circle every year. They go to the same tracks, and that is something that High Limit was kind of their like base plan, was to branch out, go to tracks that the Outlaws don't go to, blah, blah, blah. And it worked at some places, but.
Well, the High Limit, they have a lot of good ideas, and a lot of the things they say are sound, but the reality of when you're going to go up against something that's been established for 40 years, that's a whole, I'm talking 2 different things here. Can the High Limit survive with this 12 race series? Is it going to try to grow? I mean, I'm not sure where they're headed. Is there any direction on this? I mean, it sounded good. A lot of ideas sound good, and then you get out there in the real world and you do them and you realize what you're up against. It's sometimes a little different, but
yeah,
I think Brad's meant well.
I definitely agree on the difference still. It's like going out here and opening these card boxes and trying to sell them. It's a little harder than it sounds,
Everything, in theory, things, I mean, there's a good thought behind it, but you're talking about jumping from 12 races to 55. You're talking about trying to get outlaw teams to join. That seems like too big of a gap to realistically. Maybe you're saying in 4 or 5 years they can pull it off if they gradually build momentum. But is this all based on Kyle showing up?
I think I think that the foundation of the series, and I believe so, that this All-Star thing is involved, because the All-Stars are still been running a schedule every year. Like the tracks that they've been going to, I'm assuming would be okay signing up for the same thing. It's about adding on to that, I think, is what they're thinking they're going to do. So I think the ceiling of them potentially becoming the big national thing over the Outlaws, that's more hype, whereas the reality is they'll just end up being what the All-Stars were this year, and then you'll still have these 12 or some odd races midweek, big paying shows that'll be just a little bit higher than that, but not on that outlaw level. That's what I think. You'll have this year, basically, and instead of it being like High Limit and All-Stars are on flow and they're on the same team, it'll be officially the same team.
I'm trying to look at the YouTube while this is going on. We're up to 134 people. What do I need to do to get more people?
Talking about it's High Limit Day. It's Bridgeport tonight. Do you even have a prediction on who's going to win?
Well, are Kyle and Rico there?
Kyle and Rico are there. Yep.
Well, there you go.
Why ain't you pulling for Devin Borden?
He's never beat Kyle or Rico heads up in a race, has he?
I think he beat him in a 360 one time, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, maybe.
You got Brent Marks
there.
there. You got Brent Marks there. You do have Brent.
I'm not sure what this Bridgeport track is. Big track, small track. What is it?
Like Lawrenceburg. It's modeled after Lawrenceburg.
Oh, I think I've seen it. Yeah, just the one like Macri runs good there, and yeah, Marks runs good there too.
Macri is there. Marks is there. Your boy
place.
Justin Sanders is there. Have you lost faith? You don't think you can get him?
My boy's there. You want me to predict the Justin Sanders win?
I mean, it is a fast get up and go track that does lean on to him a little bit.
Huh.
Chase Randall's there. Aaron Reitzel's there. Tyler Courtney.
Yeah, this is a good field of cars. I'm looking at it now. You got it up there. Good field.
Kerry Matson, you never know.
Did we solve any problems again, or did we create more problems?
We're all about manufacturing problems, like they manufacture professionalism, so yin of a yang, balance of the universe, and that's the real big deal. If there was some balance to what we're talking about, then okay, but there's not. There's a complete, utter ignoration to the realities of the racing world and a complete, utter projection of falsities. There's no balance. No one is. I think that's the only reason I survive here, Joe, is I'm the only guy calling it out.
But isn't this what professional wrestling is, and people love it? It's all phony. It's all manufactured. Why does it have to be real? People watch it.
Because there's real money on the line. If you listen to, like Kevin Swindell at Tri-City, I think that's where that side's coming from. It's supposed to be real because real money's on the line. There's prize money. There's money changing. There's actual real things involved. Whereas with wrestling, it's a predetermined manufactured thing that everyone knows what they're getting paid. It's like Monster Jam, and maybe the Monster Jam business model is better. Monster Jam teams, and I thought about doing this, honestly, Joe. All Monster Jam teams get paid the same. The winners and all that, they get the little trophies and all that. But all the Monster Jam teams are paid. They're like scripted actors. They don't have a difference in pay. There is no winner or loser. Is that what sprint car racing needs to go to? Because then we can start manufacturing, talking crap online and fights in the pits. Then we can really go next level.
Well, I think California promoters shouldn't even pay a purse. I think they should just not even pay. Give them guy a trophy. Why even pay any money at all? These people would still show up.
Do you think they should just pay everybody $1,000 to bring a car, and then race for a trophy?
No, don't pay them anything. Don't pay them anything. Just go out and race. It's an exhibition.
Well, and
when people are spending millions of dollars to win 1,500, Chaz, what's the difference? It's the same as zero. People aren't racing off this money.
I hear the sarcasm in your explanation, and it is very true.
Well, yeah, just race for nothing. See who shows up. They just raced for 1,500. They raced for 1,500.
Yeah,
that's not even the tire bill.
The sarcasm,
not even the tire bill.
The sarcasm of your joke is that you're coming out and spending right now, as it is, paying money. The teams are coming out in their rigs and spending $5,000 or $6,000 and tearing up equipment and paying people there, pit passes, fuel, and then you're racing for $1,500 already. You're already technically racing for negative $4,500 to $5,000. Yeah. So why pay them at all?
What's the difference?
That's your point.
If some of these teams are spending, in California, $200,000-$300,000 to win, and they bring in $50,000, they'd race if they brought in zero. What's the difference?
Well, and I think the point there that is very
Let the fans in for free. Let the fans in for free. Let the guys race for free. They'll bring the fans back.
And I think that the hardcore base to what you're saying is that at the end of the day, they are basically paying to be a somebody. And
well, that's exactly what they're doing.
And they picked this sport that is unknown, that is a nobody in itself. Right. Most people don't know about it.
Now we're getting somewhere. I like this.
And you're trying to be a somebody in a nobody sport.
That's right.
And then at the same time, that is also why the High Limit Series has the momentum that they do, because I've said it. I think that most of these racers would rather go to lunch with Kyle than beat him on the track. They just want if they're going to pay all this money to try to be a somebody, what's the next best thing to do to try to be a somebody? And that's to click up with somebody who is a somebody.
That's right.
And so they're trying to race with Kyle Larson just to stifle, to professionally use his somebodyness to be a somebody in themselves.
Yeah, that's right. To follow the NFL model, what we'll do next year, if they run a high limit race out here, I will date Ariana Grande and bring her to the track so the camera will have something to look at.
I honestly have told people that. You need to book stars. Why are you not inviting, like when XR had some things in Vegas, at the Vegas dirt track, I said, you should be trying to get, Jake Paul in a modified or something, or anything. I mean, get somebody out there who's a real somebody, because Kyle Larson is a nobody. He says it himself. He is, technically, in the grand scheme of things, he's a nobody. We're getting a little glimpse as to how even NFL players are nobodies, in a way. Look at the Taylor Swift effect.
Also, you brought up yesterday how some of these outlaw races are now looking like a coast and collect situation. These guys go out there, they draw the dash, they get it after 3 or 4 laps, they get in single file formation. Let's just finish it out and go to the next track.
And that's it. It's collect a check.
Pick up a check. That's Tanner Holmes. Don't tear up any equipment. Just drive around. If you don't make it out of the B, that's okay. We'll go to the next one. You're doing fine. Just drive around. Get our show up money. We sell a few T-shirts. Everybody's in cahoots. Everybody's friends. We don't want anybody saying anything out of line. We're all going to stand up on the back of the car. We're going to shoot our confetti cannon. We're going to say the same interview with the same questions. It's like the military. It's like a military operation.
Or it's like paid employees. Open the store.
That's right.
Run the business. Close the shop.
That's right. That's right.
A circus.
There's no personality. There's no conflicts. They all go golfing together. They're all buddies together. They all date each other's sisters. We're all going to be friends here. Nobody rock the boat. Just try to make a little money. Wait for your pill draw to fall your way. Steve and Sammy and Wolfgang, didn't seem like that. They raced. They raced hard. They wanted to win, and it doesn't seem like that now. It does. Hey, just single file. We got big wide tires. We got big wings. The track's going to dry out. Unless someone makes a mistake, we just single file around. Everybody's happy. The show goes on. It's just a show. It's money. Cars are here. They're going to the next town. It's the moving circus. We put up the rides. We take the money. We move on.
Wow. We're not good promoters of sprint car racing, Joe.
Well, I'm not trying to promote it. That's just what it looks like. That's why it's losing fans out here.
Yeah.
There's nobody there's no high school kids talking about going out and watching the big Joey Ancona, Caleb Montgomery battle at Watsonville on Friday night. There's nobody talking about that. Nobody even knows it's there. No one cares.
I think that this. I notice how I did say we're not a good promoter of sprint car racing. I do think that late model racing and other forms do not have this issue as much. I do think that other.
You think that over in the town of Watsonville, which is a farming town and has a lot of Mexican people, you think a guy's picking fruit all day long, doing back-breaking work, and saying, "Hey, I can't wait to go out tonight and watch some rich kids run around with their dad's car"? You think that's what they're thinking on Friday night?
That is what happens. That is what happens. Man, that's sad.
What happened?
We should cry, Joe. What happened to the sport? What happened?
No. Well, things evolve or de-evolve or whatever you want to call it. The money, it's everything goes back to money. The money drove out the middle class, and
it reflects the economy.
But this is how the country is. You could be an actor in Hollywood if your dad was Arnold Schwarzenegger. You get in if you're Tom Hanks' son. This is how the nepotism and the connections and the buddy system. It's how politics works. It's how the whole country works. If your dad was president, you can be president.
Yeah.
If your dad was an actor, you can be in it. If your dad was in a band, if your dad's Bob Dylan, you can be Jacob Dylan. You're in a band.
Well, and isn't that why people kind of do like sports or love sports, is because it's supposed to represent talent no matter where you're from. Music and movies used to be the same. It's not that anymore. I mean, that's why they got
down the tubes.
Well, yeah.
The most popular thing is live sports, because the NFL and Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NHL and boxing and UFC, all these things, if you don't perform, you get cut.
Well, but also
there's pressure to perform.
Isn't that a negative as well? That's what they would say, either work for the system, represent the system.
No, it's survival of the fittest. This is what America likes. America likes football because it's cut and dried, and if you don't perform, you're going to be cut, and we're going to move someone else in, and you're going to get fired. America loves that. This other stuff, racing, it'll never be big. It'll never be big because the majority of the public knows it's just a money sham. I mean, it has its fans, but it'll never.
I don't think they think it's a money sham.
I think. Why do you think people aren't watching it?
Well,
it's not high-level competition.
There are
it's
people.
It's not high-level competition. It's not Muhammad Ali against George Foreman. Okay, it's not the two best going head-to-head, and we're going to see who's better.
Well,
it's one rich kid talking to another rich kid. It's Joey Logano versus Chase Elliott. Come on, what appeal does that have to the average person?
I think people are so dumb to racing, though. Like there's not racing tryouts at the high schools.
No.
So I think people idiotically believe that when they see Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, they idiotically do believe that those are the elite drivers of the country. This is my biggest issue with how things are framed in America, because I think those same people believe that Port Royal Weekly is fucking flag football, and that the World of Outlaws is on the same plateau. I think regular people do believe that, and that's a problem. I think that's why we don't have fans.
No, they have a couple million fans that believe it, but there's 350 million Americans. There's only 2 million people watching.
Why are they watching F1 then? Is that the idolization factors at the MTV crib, seeing what you can't afford type deal that makes people like that, or what?
Yeah. People like to see rich people. It's the royalty. People like royalty. We don't have royalty in America, so we make our sports stars and our music stars. Taylor Swift is royalty. The PR machine behind her. The people behind the songs and the records. In the show, it's America loves that stuff.
But the base reality, or the base foundation to America royalty, is that you're not supposed to be, big word there, supposed to be. You're not supposed to be born into royalty in America. You can go out and create your royalty in America, like a Taylor Swift or something.
Well, she hit the lottery. She's like Kyle Larson of racing, but is she really that much better than everybody?
Well, did she hit the lottery, or is she an example that young females with talent, did the system set it up to where this is what you can be, just like Kyle and everybody else? This is what you can be if you come and rent this $300,000 midget. Is this these more so music producers and movie people wanting young little girls in there willing to do anything to be like her? Because that's what that's what they say happens. So
somebody's always got to be on top. There's always got to be somebody on top. If it wasn't her, it'll be somebody else. There's always, it's entertainment. It's selling. You're selling the dream to people. People like that. You can be this. That's how they sell makeup. That's how they sell cars. That's how they sell the beer. I guess humans just have a natural insecurity in them, and they always want to be in a group, and they want to be accepted, and you want to be Kyle's friend. You get to be, if you go run a midget at the Hangtown, you get to be in the same pits as Kyle.
Right.
Man, what an honor.
That's the selling point.
Yeah.
If you join TRD, you get lunch with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin and work out with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and Bush's kid will get the ride, and I don't know.
It's because he's good.
Does this have any? Who's good?
It's because Bush's kid's good. He gets provisionals because he's earned it.
Yeah, well, it's how it works. It's people like rich people. It's lifestyles of the rich and famous. Back in the '80s, a TV show. People like to sit and watch this stuff. People watch Entertainment Tonight.
Now, do you think that there's rich, powerful people with good intentions trying to do it right?
Oh yeah. There's good people out there. There always is.
And what about those people who are trying to do it right?
Well, what about them? They're giving to charities. Get back to Tanner Holmes. They say what a good kid he is. Does he give money to charity? Does he help the homeless? Does he go down to the homeless shelter and help people? What? I'm not sure when they say he's a good guy, what that means. What example? It's like the Trophy Cup will have a race and they give like $100,000 every year to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and all the drivers will say, "Boy, it's for a great cause. I like to support this race because it's for a great cause." But do they give money to the Make-A-Wish Foundation during the year? Do any of the drivers do that? They just like saying it.
Right.
It's all lip service. We like, it's for a great cause, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Yeah. Did they give money to that? Did they give money to the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts or Big Brothers of America or Mothers Against Drunk Driving? What charities are they helping? Have Tanner Holmes ask you what charity he gave to last. He's such a great guy. I'm assuming he does. Right? He has to. He's a great guy.
Well, but the argument to that, and I've experienced this, when you do nice things for people you shouldn't, it's almost like if you mention that you do, it's arrogant.
So we have to assume they're doing all that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I give, if I'm one of the poorest guys out there, but I'll give money to the guy sitting at the corner or buy this person that or this or that, but I don't want to come on here and say it because it looks like you're just saying it to say you did it, Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everyone's a great person out there. Everything's gone great. It seems like we got off track. Where did we do this all the time? Where did we start talking? What are we talking about now?
We're talking about how I paid David Gravel to talk to me, apparently to one comment. Not true.
Gravel ain't gonna say nothing. He's gonna sit there and just, he's interested in T-shirt sales and how much money he's gonna get and how much money he gets up front for racing. He's taking care of his own business.
It's just business
he's making money within the system.
It's all about the money. It all comes back to the money.
Sure, it always does. The answer to all your questions is money, Jeff.
So either you swim in the same tank or they take your ass out and fillet you.
Well, if you're going to swim in the tank of these people, you have to play their game. You have to toe the company line. You got to stand up on the back of the car and wave the flag and have the confetti cannon.
Wow.
You got to have the Newser neckband. You have to do it. It's now mandatory. You have to do it. You have to go out for the pill draw. They're going to interview you. You're going to talk about the same thing you talked about. You know, we're going to do a pill draw. And you got to say the word cool. Everything's really cool, Chaz. When they interview Kyle Larson or Easter, everything's really cool. You know, Earnhardt Jr. showed up. That was really cool. It was really cool. Everything's really cool now. They say, and hopefully we win tonight. Hopefully the track widens out. Hopefully hopefully and cool. Everything's cool and everything's hopefully. That solves everything here on these interviews. You don't know what to say, just say it's really cool. It's really cool. Being on your show is really cool.
Thanks,
Chaz.
It's really cool to talk to you.
It's really cool, and hopefully the people liked it, and hopefully I can come back on your show, and this was really cool, and hopefully you watch tonight. Hats off, Chaz, for the show. It's always hats off, really cool, hopefully.
It is true.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is it. It's rich white privilege sport, and they're going to get their little boys and girls involved, and they're going to go out, and this is it. Big wheels keep on turning.
The system.
This is the sport. We can talk about it, and there'll be a few people who will be entertained, and the majority of the racing people won't understand, or the people who we talk about, they won't like us. That's just how it is. It'll be the way tomorrow, and next week I'll come back on the show, and it'll be the same. Talk about the same thing, and I'll say the same thing.
And the manipulated sheep will defend them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who the. Yeah, they'll say I'm a hater. If I try to explain something, they'll say I'm a hater when I'm not hating anybody. Not hating anything. What is there to hate? I'm just telling you. You put me on the show apparently because you like hearing me talk. In my opinion, I don't know what hate has to do with anything, but hopefully people will hate me, and hats off to them. And it's really cool that they hate me.
Oh my God. That
because see, I earned everything. We've talked about this before. I earned everything from the bottom. My dad had a race car, and I wouldn't drive for him. I laughed at him. I don't want to be in Dad's car. I want to earn. I wanted to see what I could do in life on my own 2 feet. Not if Dad helps me get a job. Not if my father-in-law buys me a car. Not if everybody hands me everything. Who wants to live that life? I didn't want to live that life. So my soul is free. I have no axe to grind. I'm free to say whatever I want. I've worked for 45 years. I earned my money. I got financial security. None of this matters. I've been in and out of racing, and I watch it, and I observe it. And everybody else, when they talk, sounds like they're hiding something to me. They're not free will.
Right.
They can't say they're worried. They're worried. I can't say this because it'll upset that, and if I upset that guy, then they'll lose the sponsor. And they're all hung up on nuttiness. What it looks like, what it feels like when you watch it.
Well, when you live in the illusion, how do you know that you're a part of it? It's hard to know.
Well, you don't know. Then you're Danica calling up girls who are busy, seeing if they can hang out.
Yeah, because you think that's normal.
Yeah, their normal is weird. Their normal is weird. It's skewed. Their view of the world is skewed by their family's money or who they married into. Or they social climbed their way up through marriage. Tanner Thorson or Shane Golobic. Come on. You think they just married random girls?
Right.
You don't think they married into money?
Right.
Come on. Oh, but they'll defend it. The minute I say it, they'll all be mad at me. They'll want to fight me at the track. If it wasn't true, they wouldn't care.
Well, some people could even speculate that my current relationship is like that, although they came after me, Joe. They came after me. Was it strategic?
You're marrying into money, Chaz. You're part of the system, Chaz.
Is it strategic?
You're part of the system.
No.
You sold your soul. You're going to be tempered. You got to worry what you say.
Maybe it's just me saying everyone's not the same. That's why I was saying there are actually good examples in powerful positions.
Well, the whole spectrum's out there. There's 9 billion people on the planet. It's all out there. The good, the bad, the in the middle. But I'm just saying racing tends to draw an unsavory group because your money can buy things that you couldn't earn fairly. You can tilt the playfield.
You can manipulate success.
You can tilt the play. That's exactly right. You can't do that. Look at if Cole Macedo could start quarterback for the 49ers, don't you think he would go do it?
Right.
If he could go do it. If he could go play for the Los Angeles Dodgers center field on his merit, don't you think he would go do it?
Yeah.
But what's he doing? Well, what's he doing? What is his life? You know, he got into a situation where his family can manipulate him to try to get him to a position of, I don't even know what, racing on a dirt track.
Success.
If they could go do it somewhere else, they would. This is all they can do. This is all they got. This is it for Ryan Timms. This is as far as his family's money can take him.
I think
where is he going to go?
And I hinted on that with the conversation yesterday, the short man syndrome of the sport, and it's real. You know, it is these people who cannot perform on the actual normal scales of society, so they're trying to formulate their own platform of success outside of it, and then project it onto the society that they couldn't perform in.
When I got in a conversation with Golubic, Matt Wood came over and said, "Don't talk to him. He's a nobody." Matt Wood categorizes me as a nobody. That when he sees me, he sees a nobody. Now, I don't know if my friends or my customers or my family would agree, but since he has more money than me, or he thinks he does, he categorizes me as a nobody. That's how the world works. To Cole Macedo, I'm Broke Joe. He nicknamed me Broke Joe. He knows nothing about my finances. He knows nothing about the successes I've had in business. But since I'm not out there racing against him, he sees me as Broke Joe. That's how these people look down. They're looking, well, they think they're looking down. I'm not sure what they're doing. But that's what the pit area is. You're right, it's the small man syndrome. They are going to try to discredit and put you down because of some kind of financial status or something. Not your morals, not your hard work, not the people you've helped, but their illusion that they have more money, so you're below them. That's what the pit area now is. It's not a bunch of guys working together to race.
Yeah, you're making some great points. Sorry, some of the commenters are confused. They're like, Cole Macedo, they're just laughing. Because you're over there on the West Coast, to some. I guess it's not obvious. I was going to say obviously, but some don't see it as that. And you're speaking to the guys who matter over there. At least they want to, or are trying to.
Well, this is where I'm at. This is who I know. This is who I associate with.
But that probably populate. It's like anthills. They're everywhere. You know, it's not just over there.
Yeah, but California's probably more. You know, there's more money here, and I see Pennsylvania is different. It's more working class racers. These people have jobs. Brian Monteith had a job. Still, that Freddie Raymer has a job. Danny Dietrich goes to a job.
Right.
That they actually work at. We're here. I don't know. I don't know what these people are doing. Cole Macedo have a job? Call him up, interview him on the show. Ask him what he does for a living. Does he own a house? Did he buy a car? Does he pay taxes?
Well, he may work at Tarleton or something.
Well, also he worked for the family. It's another family situation.
Yeah, like Selzy works at the trucking company, right?
I don't know. So you have to work for your parents once again. You can't go out in the world and hand out your resume and get a job on your own over at Tesla or Facebook or Google or Yahoo. Or you have to work for your family. Everybody has to work for their family. Come on. Is that really working for your family? You can leave when you want. You get vacations when you want. You got financial security. If you mess up, they just move you to a different position. Is that really working? Yeah, maybe some cases, but come on. These people can't survive. They never left the nest, Chaz. These guys are 30 years old. They mom and dad had to buy them a house. Mom and dad had to sign the loan. They never had an apartment with roommates. They can't go get a home loan on their own. Mom and dad are sitting next to them. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some examples out there where they work with the company so long and they earn the money to go buy that stuff, but I see what you're saying.
Come on. They've never been in the real world. Look at the people stuck out in traffic at 4 a.m. going to their job to support their family. I mean, come on. It's elitism. It's the rich. It's the illusion. Why are they always trying to tell me they work hard? Why don't some guy like a David Gravel say, listen, I race, this is an easy gig, I don't really have to do much, and I'm making money, and it's as fun as can be, you people. Why can't they say that?
Right.
I'm doing this because it's an easy gig. I get to go golfing. I'll show you my golf scores. It's fun. I get to sleep in. I get to drive a race car. I wish all you people could have this much fun doing it. It's not really work at all. It's an easy gig. Why is everybody telling me how hard it all is? Why don't they quit?
Right. And it makes it, even for the fan element, if they want people to watch what they're watching and enjoy it, you think they would go that route and saying how fun it is. To try to influence other people to do it, but...
No, it's some big, giant mental struggle.
Do you think that's a part of their job security scheme? Do you think they want it to look so bad so that other people don't try to take what they have?
Well, I don't know. I never thought about it that much. You get me talking so long, I start talking in circles, so I forget what I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
I guess we could cut it off
well,
now. Are you done?
Well, I don't know. You got another question?
I don't know if I even had a question to begin with, Joe.
I don't know if we ever start with questions. The only thing making this normal, we don't have Joey here. Maybe that would be better.
That would be way worse. Is he okay? Is he living still?
He said he's happy that guy living with him for a couple of weeks is gone. He don't take food out of the refrigerator.
Oh, well, I never took a food item out of his refrigerator. Trust me. That's a 10-foot pole situation.
These are all just my opinions. None of them could be true. People can listen and make their own determination. I've been involved in racing since I was 6. I've been in the business world. Chaz likes me, hear me talking, so I just start talking.
Yeah.
But it's all hidden. I'm just saying it's all secretive.
Well, these are raw realities that people are always hiding from, and I think that's why people like hearing it, because it's like, yes, this is, like the guy said, this guy's dead on. This is the reality of the situation for a lot of people. Well,
but most of the world seems like they're hiding. I mean, there's so much people drinking and drugs and painkillers and medication to numb their senses to the reality of the world that most people are hiding. They don't want you to know the truth. I don't know how many people are, doing things that they know are wrong. In closing, we talked about the Randy Hannigan, Terry Hannigan situation last week on the show. And I gave it a little more thought about whether it was morally right to spend insurance money on racing. We kind of hit on that. But when I started thinking about it more, the fact that Randy Hannigan seems to hide from that. He never came out. When people would ask, how is this car financed? It says Terry Hannigan Racing on the hood. Now that I think about it, it seems like he knows it's wrong what he did because he doesn't come out and say it himself. If he would say it himself, but he wouldn't say it.
He never has? I don't know. Like he never did ever say
that?
When people...
No, I don't think they ever did. And when people on the message board, I remember on Host Head message board, people would ask, what is THR and how does it finance the racing? They would delete these things on the Host Head board. The moderator. These things were deleted like I'm a bad person for asking the question. Why I'm just asking the question. That's what's funny. I bring up things and people are mad at me for bringing these things up. The people who are doing it they're mad like if someone talks about it. So apparently they're not proud of what they did. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like I'm proud of everything I've done. From starting a business from scratch to graduating from college to buying a house and paying it off to buying equipment. And I have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm proud of what I did. Whether it was good or bad. I did the best I could. But when people don't talk about things, I feel they're ashamed, or they don't want you to know. Like, getting back to Dominic Selzy, why don't you come on and just tell me how much money your dad spent since you started racing? Well, why are they ashamed if they did it? What is it in there that they won't say? What is it they think will happen if they say the truth?
Right.
If he says my dad spent $9 million since I started racing, do you think the public would think different of him?
I'm not sure. Probably.
But why are they scared?
But I think a lot of people assume it, but not a lot of people know. Back to people who think different, that don't know.
But they'll say, well, it's none of your business. They'll always hide behind it's none of your business. Well, of course it's none of my business, but, you know.
Well, and if they get questioned that, I'm sure there'll be agitation.
Why?
Because I would assume that the question in itself is trying to come from a tarnishing aspect.
No, it's not, though. I'm not tarnishing anything. I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking for the truth. I'm not tarnishing anything. For other families that want to get into this sport, why don't you just put it out there how much you spent to get where you got, to help other people decide whether this is something that they should get into or not? It would be a service to other families that are in lower forms of racing or want to get into racing to actually know what this costs to get into and be that successful. You would be doing a service to let people know.
But don't you think it would be somewhat tarnishing, because most would assume, based on how much people get paid to race and how much it costs to race, that it would definitely not be in the positive?
Well, it's facts, though. Well, we were just talking about facts. I'm not talking about Well, that's up for other people to decide. Is it worth spending $10 million to make $1 million? So you want a NARC title over 20? You know, is it? I'm not saying it's tarnishing or not tarnishing. I'm just saying what is the risk and what are you doing? What's the risk and reward? Why was it worth it to your family? Is it worth it for other families? Why is everything hidden?
Some people are asking about the Hannigan situation. I don't know if we want to retouch.
Oh God, you'd have to go back and watch the other show we did.
Well, long story short.
Well, how do they think? How did Randy Hannigan get on the Outlaw Tour? How did he get on the Outlaw Tour for 20 years? Have him come on the show, interview him. Ask him how much money was spent. How did he do it? You know, just to help other people out. How did you do it?
Long story short, for people watching, the Hannigans were a big racing family, locally, working class. Terry Hannigan, Randy Hannigan's brother, correct? Got into a situation where he was injured and paralyzed, shot from the neck down, and got money for that situation that happened to him. And that money, seemingly, was put into a World of Outlaw career. Is that pretty much what happened?
And I know people who were friends of Randy, and Randy told people he was a professional race car driver.
And the only reason he was able to say that is because of that money that paid for that.
What it looks like to me. You'd have to interview him. It's what it looks like to me. I could be way off. Maybe I'm way off, and there's a different story. Maybe I'm missing something. You know. Maybe I'm way wrong. But these people, have them come on the show and dispute what I'm saying, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm just guessing over
I don't
here.
know. I feel like Hannigan or anybody like that, they're fuming just because they've already done this.
Why are
they already
fuming?
did it. Because they already did it. I'm out. I'm gone down the road, and now somebody wants to talk about something I did 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
So they're mad if I talk about. So this is my point. Why are people mad if I'm talking? What is it? Am I lying? If I'm lying, then come on and correct me, and I'll apologize. You know, if I'm lying, then okay, I can see where someone's mad if I'm lying. Hey, I got a guy on a show lying about me. Then okay, I'll apologize. But it's just what I'm seeing. This is the sport. This gets back to the original question of the sport. This is what it is. Right. If your family wants to spend millions, you could be on the Outlaw Tour with no gas. You can.
Yeah.
Drive around. You know, is this professional? I can't buy my way onto the Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to be out there with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson shooting threes because my dad had money.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
That's what happens. But that's what happens. I think that people don't know that's what happens. I don't think they know.
Okay, well then if we educated a few people that didn't know it, then that's fine. But it's not going to change anything. And I'm not, I'm not a hater. I'm not mad about anything, and I don't really care. I'm just explaining it. Because no one else is going to explain it, obviously, Chaz. You could have them on.
That's the truth. I mean, that's the truth.
There's nobody who's been in it as deep as I was and won the races I won that'll talk like I talk. So that's why you have me on the show. If they would, you'd have them on, and I wouldn't be on the show.
Well, I thought we were just going to talk about Tanner Holmes. I didn't know this was coming.
Well, I wish Tanner the best. I mean, he seems like a nice kid. Him and his sister and his dad, they're great people, but, they're wealthy people, which is fine. I have nothing against wealthy people either. I'm trying to be wealthy.
You're just more so looking at the merit aspect.
Well, how does a guy with no wins? They don't have a major league pitcher win 0 games in the minors and move them up to the majors.
But that's the status quo. The NASCAR Cup Series is full of that.
Well, I don't even watch NASCAR. I don't even know what that is. They're driving around.
But that's
in
what
big, heavy cars.
Well, the reason I go after NASCAR consistently is because that's what the regular people that are going to make differences think. The real money, the real fandom is under that illusion. So.
Yeah, but aren't the ratings going down every year? I mean, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
it's
killing racing in America overall. It's killing racing in America overall because people see a NASCAR race. If I watch a damn NFL game and I don't like the NFL, I just don't. It ain't like I say, well, I don't like the NFL. I might like Arena League. I say I don't like football. Okay?
Yeah.
So if I watch a NASCAR race and I think NASCAR is boring like what most people do in racing, if I'm a regular person, I ain't saying I don't like NASCAR. I'm saying I don't like racing. It blankets the entire sport.
But what's different is you're talking about, I was thinking you're talking two different things. You're talking about the sport and you're talking about the people. NASCAR at its height of popularity, I think, was when there was personalities, when you had Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty and Earnhardt Sr. You had real salt-of-the-earth personalities who came out and raced, and people, some people like Mark Martin and some people like Rusty Wallace. They were all kind of personalities in their own, and you became fans of the people that you kind of gravitated to. Where now they're all the same. I don't even know who these people are. I have no idea who's even on the NASCAR. I don't watch it. I don't care.
You could literally just take what you just said and say Sammy, Steve, and Wolfgang, and Bobby.
That's right.
You could say the same thing. My thing is, what I'm trying to make a point of is, you're worried about the Tanner Holmes, or not worried about the Tanner. You're talking about the Tanner Holmes example in the sprint car world, whereas I see that exact same thing playing out on the actual societal aspect of the NASCAR world, because those are the Tanner Holmeses on a 10th degree. It ain't $1 million over there. It's $3 million a year as a kid. It's the next level, and then it's also the societal aspect of what racing is. So it's blanketing the entire sport. So I go after the Tanner Holmeses of the world. I just don't go. I go after the ones that matter in the world. That's the difference.
Yeah, but
the sprint car racing is so minuscule.
You felt Tanner Holmes, when he got the rider, deserved it.
I think he went at it a different way, for sure.
No. But I thought the Chaz stood for the hardworking middle class worker. I thought that's who you were championed. I thought this was what your show's based on, and fairness. And I thought it surprised me that because a guy had a YouTube channel, you were behind him.
Well, I mean, I am in the same spectrum. I do think it is a lot of work. I think it's underestimated how much work it is.
Well, okay.
I think
I
do it differently. Maybe I'm wrong. Like you said, when I was out there doing the stuff I was doing around y'all, you're like, well, this is working, but maybe what Tanner Holmes does is different. It's slower effort.
No, I'm not saying it's not work, and I'm not saying it's not hard work, but you're saying because he had a YouTube channel, you should get. What about a guy who runs a backhoe for 12 hours a day and races on the weekend? Why would a YouTube channel warrant a ride as opposed to a guy running a backhoe? or a carpenter or a plumber.
It shouldn't.
Well, I don't understand why.
So are
Well,
you saying the
you
Tanner
said
Holmes thing was the first part of my assimilation into the system?
Well, I think your lack of formal education sometimes leads you into making mistakes. Well, it just surprised me. It surprised me that a rich kid, you're saying a rich kid who made some videos deserves an outlaw right.
Well, and I more
saying.
so looked at it as a local who built a name around their brand on their own.
No, what are we talking?
That's how I was seeing.
That's how I was seeing. Built a name around a brand.
He built his own brand. The Tanner Holmes brand is built by him. Whatever you want to call it, whether it's a YouTube channel. Well, they put it on T-shirts and sell it. So, I mean, it's technically a brand. So, I mean, he built something that got him somewhere. I still saw it as a local getting a shot.
No, it's a rich kid who was on the road anyway. He was out there on the road, not working, driving $1 million operations around. Well, you're acting like he was some guy who bought the car and went out and raced and locally and Bobby Allen gave him a shot. No.
Well, that's the manipulational perspective I'm projecting. But yeah.
Yeah, you're confused on who he is. Go to their house where they live. See how much money's brought in. See what he does. Does Tanner Holmes pay his PG&E bill? Does he pay for car insurance and health insurance? Did he buy the car? What job? What job does he have? From his YouTube money?
It's the status quo. That's the status quo to be a sprint car driver now.
So I'm just saying you fell for a guy with a We're down in 2023. We were talking about a guy with a YouTube channel getting an outlaw.
I looked at the entire spectrum, and what you're talking about with Tanner Holmes and the money and the giving and all this never worked for it. That's the base level of the situation now. So I saw something that was different than the base level. You know, that's the base level.
Yeah, okay, it's a bit different. Okay, big deal. He's the first YouTube driver. Congratulations. I wish him well.
Well, I do think it would benefit some drivers in their operations to start creating something of their own, because
maybe they're busy holding jobs.
Yeah.
Maybe they have real bills to pay. They're not living with mom and dad.
Yeah.
I thought Chaz would be behind the working man.
I've been behind a lot of working men.
I know. I think you're just off base on this one. That's all.
Well, I apologized. So.
No, you
I was wrong.
Apologize.
No. And I get your point.
No,
I get your point.
Just surprised me. Why aren't you behind Ryan Timms? Did he get a chance?
I was behind Timms too. I thought he was going to be something, you know.
Yeah. Interview him on the show. Let's see if he can hold a few sentences together.
I mean, true.
Oh, man. I just invite anybody that name I mentioned to please come on the show and talk to Chaz and explain where I was wrong. I'm inviting anybody, name I mentioned, if I said anything wrong, to come on and please just talk to the Chaz in an open forum. Don't thank your sponsors. Try not to do the interview in your mom and dad's house or a business they run, and see if you can talk to Chaz for an hour and see how it goes.
I think it would be a very aggressive discussion.
Sometimes I listen back to the stuff and I do make mistakes. I mean, it was rambling on for an hour, and that's what's funny too. I'll talk for an hour and people will, I'll make like a mistake here, a mistake there, and they'll grab onto that mistake. Oh, he said this wrong, and it's true. I'll say things wrong. So,
or they'll take a half sentence and manipulate it.
Yeah. I wish everybody the best. Good luck.
Oh, God.
With all your racing endeavors and all your dreams. I hope all your dreams come true.
No, my.
All the races that haven't been run are anybody's to win. Anything can happen.
It is true.
And you can rock it. You can rock it to stardom. You could be the next Brock Purdy.
Yeah. All you got to do is pay.
See, look at someone right here. I'm looking at your thing. It looks like the guest doesn't want the sport to grow. See that?
Well, where's that at? Is it up?
Some guy just puts the.
What's his name?
I don't want the sport to grow. Tyler Teamornia, I'm sure. See, here's the guy. I don't want the sport to grow. Yet I gave tens of thousands of dollars to purses I've had almost 20 different drivers in my car for free. I've lent out trucks, trailers, engines for free. Yet his image of me is I don't want the sport to grow. I'm holding the sport back. See the negativity comes to me? In this guy's mind, I'm holding the sport back. Not the fact that the clocks don't work or the track isn't prepped right or the purses don't increase. I'm holding the sport back. See how it's turned on me? When you put yourself in a public forum, how I will get criticized for speaking freely. They don't want me. Public does not want this.
They don't. They hate it. And the
America
ones who do want it are quiet. The ones who are
That's right. They're all hiding.
Yeah, they're
hiding.
feared. They're scared to stand up.
Everyone
to the
is
money.
scared. Everyone's sitting home scared.
Because they all
Scared
have
of what? I don't
bosses.
know.
They've been bred their whole life to be underneath somebody's wing and to not speak
Well,
back
look,
to daddy.
You go to school and the teacher tells you what to do. You go home, your mom and dad tell you what to do. You go to church, they tell you what to think. Then these guys get out of high school and they get a girlfriend or they get married and your wife tells you what to think. And then you get a boss telling you what to think. Americans are bred to be told what to think. They don't want to
fall in line. Pledge allegiance.
I started a business as soon as I could. I got out of my parents' house as soon as I could. I got out of college. I never gone back. I'm a free thinker, and that scares people, and people are always worried what I might say because I'm just trying to say the truth, and I have nobody to fear because what I'm saying is from the heart, and I think it's right. And if I make a mistake, correct me.
Okay, so.
But I didn't take insurance money and run the Outlaw Tour for 20 years, okay? I didn't. And if they don't like me talking about it, then in their own mind, they know it was wrong.
Right.
I'm just reflecting. I'm just putting a mirror up. I'm putting a mirror up.
Now, don't you think that there is positives to a Tanner Holmes? This is one reason I jumped on it, is because the YouTube platform is bringing youth. So the exposure mixed with him, and I even said it at the time, I think Tanner Holmes and the Outlaws is what they need to go up against Kyle and High Limit because he at least is bringing eyes to it.
Well, I think there's positives and negatives to what he's doing. I've said this, and I keep saying this, and I'll still be seen as a hater. He's a great young man. His sister and his dad, they're great people. I think he's a mature driver. He handles the car well, and I think in time, under the right tutelage, I think he could become a top driver in the country. I see that potential there in him. But I just refer back to he didn't deserve this ride.
Yeah, and that's all you're saying.
He wasn't ready for this ride.
You saw other deserving
drivers. If you're telling me he got the ride because he sells T-shirts and he's good for sponsors and he has a YouTube video, I'm saying he didn't deserve it. But
or if you're at Knoxville and you can't find a driver, why do you walk over to him who's got a car and all this stuff instead of walk over to Garrett Williamson who just lost his ride?
Yeah. I'm saying he didn't
who's finished on the podium with the Outlaws and his own stuff.
But he handles himself well. I think he could be a top driver. I'm just talking about this situation. This is the one you asked me. This is what came up. Why is he in the one whatever it is, the 1C?
So it's a tip for tat. Nothing's perfect.
No, nothing's perfect.
It just it is probably, and maybe this is why you're on it so hard. It was probably the only move that a person got in such a ride with almost zero of the reasoning being because of performance. At least Robbie Price won Dirt Cup,
Yeah, but doesn't his family pay $300,000 for the ride?
I'm just saying, Tanner Holmes never had huge success in anything, really.
Hey, some guy just said he wants to shake my hand. Some guy just said he wants to shake my hand for bringing honesty.
Right. This is tip for tat.
Someday, in a couple years when I retire, I'll go on tour with you, Chaz, and we'll shake hands to the people who want honesty. I don't know how many there's going to be.
Well,
I don't know if we'll get banned from all the racetracks.
Somebody just, I think, rubbed it in our face. He said he just made $200 in 2 hours, and you're still talking about dirt racing. Love it. So they're making fun of the Chaz and what we're doing. So
I just made $200 in 2 hours, and you're still talking. No, I don't think he's rubbing it in our face. I think
I don't
he's just
know.
a working man out there working.
I don't know. I saw it as well. We're just sitting here, or I'm sitting here talking about dirt racing not making $1, and he made 2 hours or 200 in 2 hours. That's what I heard. But
Well, according to Zillow, my house went up $60,000 in the last 30 days. Talking to you, so what?
it's working out for everyone but me. Great, Joe. Great.
Well, you got to, yeah. You have I'm not sure your business plan. This guy said tits for tats. What's up? Okay. Anybody have any questions? We've talked long enough, Chaz. You get on these shows, we ramble on for hours.
And they keep tuning in. The numbers continually go up.
They go up. Well, there are probably people tuning in to see if I mention them.
That's true. People like to, even
but
though
I
people,
would encourage
I'm telling you, even though
anybody
go ahead.
I just would encourage anybody again in racing or dirt racing, just come on and honestly tell their story. That's all I'm doing, and I wish other people would do it. I don't know what everyone's hiding from. That's all. They're hiding.
Well, and I think that once again, they paid for some kind of professionalism. And at the end of the day, I think they halfway enjoy you talking about them, even if it's negative, you know. And that's a funny thing about this sport is you go on ESPN right now, and there's people actually shitting on players, actually trashing this guy, trashing that guy
no, but I'm not,
on ESPN. I'm just saying on my side of the thing, these people want real fucking stardom and want to pay for it. They can't even handle real stardom. They wouldn't even be able to handle a real analyst.
Why is critiquing somebody now trashing? I don't understand why you use that word.
It's the
I'm
fan
not
base.
trashing anybody. But we're not trashing anybody. We're just trying to tell the truth. And if anything I said's wrong, have them call in. It's trashing. I'm just telling. I don't know why people use those words, hating and trashing. And no, I'm just just talking.
Well, I'm just saying these people who have spent $10 million in racing to get fame, buying it instead of earning it on a field. Yeah. I don't even think they can handle actual fame. They want to fight me and lose their nutsack over me saying this or that on YouTube. Imagine if it was on ESPN or FS1. How could they handle that?
Yeah, but wait. Let's get back to that. See, someone was telling me about it. I don't know the facts of this. You never discussed with me when you at the Chili Bowl. Who was it wanted to fight you? The Torgensons? Is that what the problem was?
All over the Torgenson incident, yes.
Because
I said
out of the car, which is
and I speculated on how he may have been rushed and they didn't have time to check the belts double. And since that wasn't the official narrative,
did anybody ever say do we know what really happened for sure, or
they put out an official narrative where something grabbed this and that grabbed that, and that's how it hooked out, and that's the only way we can recreate it.
They were saying arm restraints somehow unhooked the seatbelts. Is that what they?
Something along those lines. Something along the official narrative.
They didn't like that you said maybe the belts weren't latched. That's what they didn't.
Maybe they were rushed because the Chili Bowl pushes people out so fast. I thought that was a logical speculation.
And these people wanted to fight you over you just having a theory on not really sure what happened.
Correct.
They wanted to get physical.
3 of them, yeah.
They teamed up. They waited for you, and they teamed up on you.
Yes. And honestly, a reaction like that sparkles guilt.
Why didn't they just offer to come on your show and discuss what actually happened and then clear the air? Why behind, once again, in the dark, why were you physically threatened?
Once again, sparkles guilt to me.
Yeah, see, when people get mad at me, it makes me think you hit a nerve. It makes you hit a nerve because if it's not true, they'll just say, "Oh, Joe's not right," and I'll come on and just explain that he's not right. I don't understand anger and violence.
But that's the short man syndrome. Yeah.
But these are the people in racing. And this incident happened like 8 months from when you were confronted, like they were waiting for you.
Right.
So you're saying that some of the things I said today, 8 months from now, if I go somewhere, I can be confronted in the dark by a group of people?
Apparently, that's the status quo. And this happens to everybody. The reason I talked about that the way I did or put the film out is because it happens to everybody. Go look at what happened. Or I talked to Jeremy Elliott. You know, it happens all the time. You know, Dirt Tracker messaged me like, what happened? Are they really mad? I'm like, look, dude, this sport's full of short man syndrome. Like, I know people, and Dirt Tracker's very melatonin, you know, he you know, not melatonin, but mellow. And, you know, I know people who would confront him in a very similar way, whether it's over this opinion or this sentence or that sentence. The people of the sport can't handle it. That's why I'm saying it's a syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to go back. Oh, somebody said I'm a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
Wow. I don't know what kind of air they're breathing.
Well, and see, I didn't want to even mention I didn't even want to mention that thing was over the Torgerson deal because that gives them some kind of credibility. You know, because some people did see it from the aspect of, it's a tragic situation. You shouldn't be talking about that anyway. You're making money on a tragic situation or something like along those lines.
No, but once again, I just think for people's information, when something that horrific happens to a driver, I just think as an owner of a car, other people would like to know if something failed or...
Well, they have the official narrative. They have an official narrative that places blame on no person. Well, see, we don't know what's honest and not honest again. So I don't. But I'm just saying, if a product, I've seen products fail and maybe drivers get hurt and they sweep it under the carpet, and I go, well, maybe I run those axles or those hubs or those spindles, and I'd like to know what actually caused the wreck, just for my own driver safety, or other drivers might be running those parts, but they always hush things and they don't let you know exactly what happened. Once again, it's racing. Things are done in the dark, and they don't want them brought in the light. And I don't know. Right. I heard it was like I said, they have an official narrative. They're going to stick to it. And if you go off that official narrative, you are the problem.
Wait. See, then there's these people that, once again, I think it's a lack of education. People they don't seem to understand what you're saying or I'm saying or other. We explain things as clearly as we can, and people still misunderstand things we're saying. Like if I critique somebody, they say I'm a trashing or I'm the hater. Why do they jump to those words? I don't understand the negativity of these people behind a keyboard. Trying to use these words, I don't know what it all means. I don't know what the world. I don't know what these people listening behind a keyboard. You're the Chaz. This is entertainment for people in racing to listen to.
And you're Joe. This is your opinion. Like it or not like it.
It's my opinion. Yeah.
I think
once again,
if you say anything, go ahead.
Well, we met kind of 4 years ago when Justin turned me on to you talking, and I go, this guy's nuts. I like him.
Oh, God.
and I go, hey, look at this guy. He's saying stuff that a lot of people think that I think stuff needs to be said, even though I don't agree with everything you say. That's okay, too. But you said enough things, and you seem to say them from the heart, even though sometimes you might be a little misguided. You're not, you like the sport, and you support the sport, like I support the sport, just by putting shows like this out there and talking about it. But people just they just sit and, if they don't like something, if we talk for an hour and we say one sentence that they don't like, then the whole thing is, a negative to them.
Right. Right. And then you're banned from tracks, or you're kicked out of shootouts, or you're ganged up on. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I mean, that's why I don't.
In my car,
I think Dirt Tracker does it right. I think Dirt Tracker never going to any races, just using streaming for what it is and saying whatever the hell he wants, and they ain't got to worry about nothing getting in a track. I think that's the right way to do it.
well, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and he has his way. His way's kind of boring to me. He just reports things. Sometimes it's interesting. Usually it isn't. You know,
Well, but there's people who want to kick his ass, Joe.
Yeah, I'd like that. Why don't he come on your show and talk about it? Why don't you mention the names?
Who?
Like you didn't want to mention the Torgensons. Why?
I didn't want to give him any credit. I didn't want to give him any credit.
Well,
It's
we're
not
not
like
giving him
I don't
credit.
even know. I don't even know if it was Torgenson in general. It could have been his tire guys or what. It's always the tire guys in the sprint car world. It's never the actual people. But that was the situation. It was over. It wasn't necessarily them in general. So
A tire guy.
people who work on the crew,
People-
stuff like that. It's never the actual
How
drivers.
much do you make being a tire guy?
I'm not sure.
Tom, do you go to college to be? Is that a step above or below the confetti cannon guy?
Once again, it could have been the guy who was actually helping and assisting and responsible for double latching. So I think it's guilt, really.
Well,
But it's
they
not like
gotta
it was
live with those
Torgenson's family there. So it's kind of wrong to say if I don't know exactly who it was. It's hard to say, the Torgensons
they didn't
did it.
identify themselves.
Torgensons ain't even involved directly.
They did, but they wanted to. They actually did. They throw punches?
No.
But they would have.
Yeah, they were really hoping I would bite the bait. I just think about fighting and stuff in a long-term situation with legal situations and medical. One of the two. You either win, you go to jail. You lose, you go to the hospital. So.
But they were outnumbering you.
Yeah.
That happens to me too. Generally, people when they don't like me, they always come up in a group of 2 or 3. They never come up man to man.
That's true.
Or they want to be bigger, or they want to have an advantage. See, once again, they always want a physical advantage. They always want to threaten you. But that's okay. That's okay. It's America. That'll work.
Right. Okay, we're just past 2 hours. We can't keep going. We won't stop. I
know, Chaz. We talk for 8 hours a day.
I got
we could have you
sports
banned
cards
from
to
every
list
track.
on eBay. I got sports cards to list on eBay.
We could have you banned from every track in the country by the time I get done.
It's true. Although I'm technically
You
not
could be banned
from
at
any.
every track. We could have every single driver in sprint car racing hate you and me. I think that should be our goal.
It's not hard. It's real easy.
Well, I think we're well on our way. I think the dream's alive. We could do it.
It is true.
I like the guy said, I'm hurting the sport. That's one of my favorite. I'm hurting the sport. Isn't that something? Guy knows nothing about me and my history.
And you're ruining it.
Guy probably heard me for 10 minutes and he had a view of me. That's part of being on the internet too. People can just latch on to one thing and like you or hate you.
Yeah, it's very true. But all right, let's let you go. We gotta let you go. It's never gonna stop.
All right, in the show. Signing off for the Chaz. Please subscribe.
Same time tomorrow, I guess.
Me?
I told you could be a part of the show.
I'm a co-host now?
I halfway put a down payment down, so.
On what?
On your services.
Yeah, you kind of did. Okay, well, I didn't know I'd be this much entertainment. Well, you have to have people. If this is what people want, I guess we'll keep it going. But
imagine what could happen tonight at the high limit race that we could wake up with coffee until tomorrow.
Okay, so we're going to talk tomorrow and recap so I got to watch this race and we'll recap it.
Are you not going to watch it?
For the love of God, I might criticize someone.
Oh my! They might have jumped the
I'm looking here. We got Jordan back. Joe 121 is the new Messiah.
Oh my
Come on.
God, Joe equals truth.
Well, the truth will set you free, Chaz. What it's all about. When you live a truthful life, you don't have any tension in your head. You don't have ulcers. You don't get migraines. You're not on any medication. You don't have to drink. You can enjoy life at its normal speed and have fun living because you have no, negative thoughts in your head. You're just trying to live a truthful life. That's all this Chaz show is. It's just the truth.
It's just the truth. Okay, Joe.
So if you want more truth tomorrow, if you can handle the truth, we'll break down the high limit race.
Oh God. Okay. All right. It's on.
All right.
We'll
and I wasn't prepared. You said you were going to call me. You were going to call me at 2:00, so I don't know what you called me at 10:30. You threw me off. I wasn't even ready.
Good.
This is unprepared, Joe.
This
is unprepared,
good.
Joe.
Off the cuff.
Okay.
Reactionary skills. Okay.
All right. Signing off. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Well, there you had it, ladies and gentlemen. Joe with the call-in, the 2 hours in the book. I don't know how we keep on doing this. Be sure to like the video, share the video. Let's get people in here. I'm thinking noon every day we're going to be doing live, so stay tuned. Be ready to tune in. Spread the word. The noon show, the Chaz, you got to tune in. You got to see it. And some memberships. Below, I believe, on here, they got the membership tab. Click that, join on up. It's like $1 or $2 a month. Definitely helps the channel. Super chats, if y'all could start learning how to use those damn things, would help a lot. Trying to make this thing go. If it's not successful, it's not successful, but maybe it will be. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, once again, like, comment, share the video. That's really important. And as always, be sure to subscribe. We will catch you next time.